Recently, we have been getting quite a few legendary gems which are pretty powerful with every single major update, and so today I will be making an update to my recommendation of gem setup that you should be using in year 2025. As of me recording this in June, it will change as nerfs and buffs will come to the game and more gems will be introduced with time, and I will be covering free to play tier setup, and then we will be jumping into Mistfinder category with a combination of some old players who has been playing since day one. They have quite a lot more resources compared to free to play starting today, and they will able to use some of the 5-star gems from the mid spender setup as well. And then towards the end I will be jumping into complete pay-to-win setup that you can use as a whale or a spender to get the most out of your character. And again, this is gonna be my personal opinion and it is not gonna be a fact. Now that is out of the way, I will be switching the screen and you will able to see gem setup June 2025 free to play. This is what I recommend and I will explain the reason behind every single gem that I picked here. Starting with Berserker, most free to play player will appreciate this gem since it will give them flat 16% damage increase at rank 10, and on the top of that you will be getting 2% critical hit chance as well. But there is a catch: when you will be equipped with this gem at rank 10, you will take 5% more damage from all sources. But honestly, this is still gonna be one of the best 1-star gems that you can get in Diablo Immortal as of me recording this video. And then we will be using Everlasting Torment. The reason I will explain later in this video, but your critical will bleed enemy for 30% base damage every second for 6 seconds, and this gem can only trigger every 20 seconds, but you can actually prolong the duration of this gem, and I will explain that in a sec. And then we are using Entropic Well. This gem will work with any type of a build. I could have gone and used the Surging Sea that also gives you the skill damage, but that is not gonna work for some builds which has longer cooldowns, so I end up deciding to go with the Entropic Well. It is gonna work with every single build, and keep one thing in mind: it will not increase the damage of your primary and summons. It will only give you more damage for your skills and increase the speed of your skill by 4%. And then we are using a Misery Elixir. Duration of the harmful effect you inflict is increased by 24%, and damage to enemies suffering from harmful effect is increased by 2%. Now this is going to be important. We will able to prolong the duration of bleeding for everlasting, and if we can increase the duration or prolong the duration of everlasting bleeding from 6 seconds to, like, let's say 8 to 9 seconds, then pain class will give you the buff for longer as well, especially on the single target, having more uptime for the pain claps that increase the damage up to 24%. Enemy suffering from a continuous damage effect, and our continuous damage effect is going to be coming from the everlasting, and we are increasing or prolonging everlasting duration from Misery Elixir. You can also work on your secondary stats like potency to increase the duration of harmful effects like bleeding even further. And so we are using pain claps, and Misery Elixir will be helping everlasting, and everlasting will be helping prolong the duration of the pain claps, giving us 24% damage. And we will also get some movement speed from enemies suffering from the continuous damage. And then we are using the Mother Lament, increase your critical hit chance by 32% for 6 seconds. And keep one thing in mind: Virtus Urge's beneficial duration cannot extend the duration of this gem, and so later on we will be replacing this with a better version of a gem that is gonna be Rolling Consequence. And then I would recommend everyone getting Ferment Fang. It will give you up to 24% damage. If you can get 10 stack, that you should able to get with the help of everlasting and fast attacks on your build, and you will do additional 6% damage to elites and bosses, giving you quite a lot of damage, especially versus stronger enemies. And then the Spectre Glass 2-star gem, critical hit shattered enemy armor for 2 seconds, increase your damage they take from you up to 28% at rank 10, and your critical hit chance against them is also increased by 4%. This cannot trigger more often than 6 seconds on the same target. And again, Misery Elixir is going to extend the duration or prolong the duration of Spectre Glass. So this gem here is going to be pretty important in free-to-play setup, and this is what I would recommend if you are starting new. You can go with these gems and you will get quite a lot of damage, and your experience is overall going to be really solid. Now, moving on to the next category, Mace Spender or the player. If you are a Mace Spender or someone who has been playing since day one, you should able to manage these gems. And if you notice, I end up replacing Berserker Eye to Bloodsoaked Jade. It will give you more damage, and it will give you movement speed as well, and it will give you some damage reduction. But keep one thing in mind: as you lose your health, the damage buff is also gonna be reduced. And if you notice, I also end up switching out the Everlasting to Blood Flow, because this is a gem that will be giving us bleeding now instead of everlasting. And on the top of that, it gives you now damage, it gives you critical hit damage, and it will give you critical hit chance, and it will also bleed enemies, so we don't need the everlasting anymore. And then if you notice, I end up switching out the entropic well for the Colossus Engine, giving us the same buff but more skill damage, and giving you increased character size that is going to help you with the movement, and you also get some knockback immunity. These are the stats for the rank 10. And then of course we are using Misery Elixir again and using the Pin Claps. I end up changing the model element to Rolling Consequence. It gives us a lot more critical hit chance, and with this just does work with the Rolling Consequence, so you can extend the duration of this gem. And versus burning enemies, you will gain even more critical hit chance, so you won't be missing much of the mud element. You are now getting more critical hit chance from Rolling Consequence. You're getting more critical hit chance versus enemies burning, and you are getting more critical hit chance now from the Blood Flow as well versus the bleeding enemy. And I have already tested that these critical hit chance from Blood Flow and Rolling Consequence, they do stack, and that we are using the Ferment Fang. Still, it is going to be even easier now to get 10 stacks from bleeding from Blood Flow and 5 from Rolling Consequence on the top of your own attacks. And then we are using Spectre Glass towards the end, and again using the Misery Elixir. And this is going to be what I would be recommending to mid spender or all the player. And now diving into the Pay2Win category, and this is what I recommend. I'll go through this a bit quicker. I end up changing the Misery Elixir to Bottle Hope. It will give you the more movement speed and damage. It can trigger every 20 seconds. You can increase the duration of this gem, and positively you will also gain some skill cooldown reduction. And then I end up changing the Pin Claps. You can still keep the Pin Claps, but I end up changing that since we are going all out with the 5-star gem. I meant with the Wolf Heart here, and it will mark enemies, and you will deal up to 95% base damage to them once you will put 5 mark on them. And you also gain some attack speed buff, and it can also be that the duration of this gem can be prolonged with more beneficial duration. The gem can trigger every 20 seconds. And then we are using the Rolling Consequence. I end up changing the Firmament Fang to Golden Firmament, dealing damage ground you the evasion rating. That is going to be super important, especially for whales in PvP. On the top of that, you will be using or attacking the nearby enemies with the Wind Blast, and you can create a firestorm using the rolling consequence fire and the wind effect from the golden firmament. So on the top of evasion and wind attack, there is gonna be a firestorm as well. And towards the end, I would still recommend using a spectre glass, at least in my setup, but you can go use something like Frozen Heart for more defensive ability, or you can go use the Spiteful Blood for more defensive ability, or you can go use Starfire Shot, more of the deep, and you can go use something else that would work with your build. And that is going to be my recommendation in year 2025. As of me recording this in June. Let me know in the comment section down below what would you change from these recommendations, and I'll be looking forward to the feedback and the comments, and see you all in the next one. You guys have an excellent day. Later, take care.